Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for participating in our teleconference today. We're going to be exploring the value of doing hard things. Doing hard things can help us discover what we're capable of. Sometimes we are super women and super men. And I'm sure many of you have done amazing things, things that are really difficult. Maybe you've given birth to a child or raised a child. And even if that's fun, it's still not easy. Maybe you've moved to a new country, or you have run a marathon or learned a new language. Maybe you've committed yourself to an exercise program that's challenging and really good for your health. Or maybe you've finished a degree. Some people do really hard things every day of their lives. My mom and dad were dating before World War II started. And as soon as the war began, my dad enlisted and was gone for 4 years. And he was only back one time in those 4 years, and that was for his wedding with my mom. And I've imagined the how difficult that must have been for them. Just the separation and missing each other and worrying about my dad's well-being, worrying about the country, worrying about the world. And I asked my mom once, "How did you do it?" And she said, "We just did it." And I think that's the secret to doing hard things. You don't complain about it or worry about it, you just do it. On our most recent initiatic journey through Egypt, I was inspired to make this a topic of our teleconference because this was an especially challenging journey through Egypt. We typically travel to Egypt in August or September because there are fewer people there. And this past time, there was a heat wave, so it was especially hot. And the trip is always rather arduous. We have a very busy schedule, and it's typically tiring because we get up in the middle of the night for certain activities. And on this journey, that was, without question, the most challenging of any that we've had. There was no complaining. Everyone just did what had to be done. Not one person. Everybody just did what had to be done. And at the culmination of the initiation, it's usually rather solemn. And in this case, it was not. Everyone was hugging each other and cheering and congratulating each other. And I could feel the value of all these participants, these members, having completed an arduous initiation. Everybody felt really good about themselves and what they had accomplished. There are other things that are challenging that we can feel good about achieving. For example, completing all the Rosicrucian lessons. Now, you may not find this hard, but I wouldn't call it easy. And if you have not completed them all yet or have stopped going to your sanctum for a period of time, don't worry about that. That's not the end of your story. And more on that a little bit later. I'd like to present a very mundane example of the value of doing something hard. Not too long ago, I ordered 3 framed prints that I wanted to hang in my home. And this probably was an American misunderstanding about centimeters, but it turned out they were massive. They were each about 4 feet by 6 feet, and I hadn't planned on them being that big. But I liked them. I really like these prints being so large. It's kind of like an immersive experience. So I thought I'm going to hang these. But the time went by and it was time for me to travel again. And I like to have everything very neat before I leave my home for travel. I don't leave things undone. And here were three huge crates with these very large prints. And I don't know about where you live, but for me, it's challenging to find somebody who would just come and do a simple job like that, a handy person who would just come and hang the prints. And I was by myself at the time and needed to get these up. And they were heavy. So I had a choice of, well, I didn't really have a choice. I decided that I was going to hang these myself, even though they were beyond the width of where I could hold both ends, and they were really heavy. And I don't know how I did it. It was like there was some kind of supernatural power where I managed to hang these three prints by myself and they were straight. I still have no idea how I did this. And it gave me such a sense of satisfaction. So that's a very simple example of doing something hard. Once we decide to proceed, we can unleash superpowers to help us succeed. And in this teleconference, I'm not talking about overcoming procrastination, although it's related. And I'm not talking about staying the course when it would be better to go a different direction. Sometimes we attempt things and it's really hard and we keep bumping into obstacles, and it's better to decide go or no go. And there are times that it's better just to cut our losses and not proceed with something. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the value of doing things that challenge us that are not easy. And the value is we prove to ourselves that we can do it. And it helps to build resilience and it helps to develop appreciation. Again, it's a chance to reveal our inner superpower. It's tempting for us to seek ease and comfort and predictability, but it's in moments of challenge when we're stretched beyond our what we thought we could do that we begin to glimpse who we are and what we're capable of doing. I've mentioned the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius a number of times, and I'm going to share something that he wrote. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. So you were born to feel nice? Instead of doing these things and experiencing them, don't you see the plants, the birds, the ants and spiders and bees going about their individual tasks, putting the world in order as best they can? And you're not willing to do your job as a human being? Why aren't you running to do what your nature demands? And on several cold mornings, when I was under the blanket and wanted to stay there, I have thought of Marcus Aurelius's advice, and he certainly didn't have it easy. He was the Roman Empire was at war during most of his reign. He had 13 children, and 8 of them died before he did, and he loved his children. And one who didn't die was conniving Commodus, who was working behind his back to thwart his good efforts. He had plagues and famine and earthquakes and uprisings. And here is what Marcus Aurelius said: the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. So, one technique to help us embrace and benefit from doing hard things is to focus on the present. We can stick with the situation at hand. And Marcus Aurelius said, ask yourself, why can't I bear this when we're in a challenging situation? Why can't I bear this? He said, you'll be embarrassed to answer. Then remind yourself that the past and future have no hold on you. The author of the book, The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, he's the seventh richest author in the world. And I saw an interview where he stated that he still chooses to stay in simple, non-luxurious hotels sometimes just to be able to do it. And I think basically not to become spoiled. Why does doing hard things matter? From a Rosicrucian perspective, life is a school for our growth. Every challenge is an opportunity to awaken more fully to our inner strength and spiritual potential. Doing hard things teaches us patience, it strengthens our will, it reveals our resilience, and it expands our awareness. Whether it's showing up during adversity, completing a long commitment, or simply choosing to face what's uncomfortable rather than avoid it, the effort transforms us. And modern neuroscience supports this. Studies show that doing hard things creates the following situations. Growth and learning happen when we engage with difficult tasks, not when we coast. Facing challenges builds neural resilience, reinforcing brain pathways linked to focus, problem solving, and emotional regulation. Doing hard things rewires our brain for adaptation. It regulates stress chemicals and it creates a cycle of motivation, often through the release of the feel-good hormone dopamine. The process of stretching ourselves physically, emotionally, or spiritually rewires us for strength and adaptability. In mysticism, struggle is not something to escape, it's something to transmute. When we think about the practice of alchemy, the ancient symbol of spiritual alchemy is a base metal is turned into gold through what? Through fire. So, in the same way, our trials, when approached with reflection, purpose, and courage, can become portals to transformation. Every time we say yes to something that is difficult, we align with our higher self, we build character, and we become more attuned with the cosmic rhythm. Maybe we can learn to lean into hard things, or at least not fight them, like I did with the prince that needed to be hung. No one else was going to do it, so I thought, all right, if it's going to be done, I need to do it. Maybe we can even learn to enjoy doing hard things. There are some simple rules that can help us be successful with this. One is the 5-minute rule. Just start. I'll do this just for 5 minutes. And this is advice for members who get behind in their studies. The most common reason that Rosicrucians discontinue their membership is because they feel bad about getting behind in their lessons. But it's a very long process and it's just a pause. So we just need to go back to our sanctums, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and we just sit there. Or we go back for 5 minutes and we quietly meditate without even looking at a monograph. And then eventually we can get back into the rhythm of doing our sanctum periods on a regular basis. We can also model someone who does what we want to do and they do it well. So right now, think of someone you admire. It can be in any field. Think of anyone you admire. Do you think their achievements just fell in their lap? You may find it interesting to research this person and see and learn more about their life and their challenges and the benefits they received by doing hard things. When we choose to do hard things, it's also important to choose the right mood to begin. Don't try to do a hard thing if you're in a bad mood. It also helps us get going in the right direction by following what's become well known as the 1% rule. If someone is going to run a marathon, for example, they don't start by running 26.2 miles the first day. They start with running a little bit the first day, a little bit more after that. And research has shown that by making changes more gradually, say at a percentage of 1%, is more effective in the end because people will complete whatever the goal is than trying something that is so overwhelming that they don't continue. We can also choose the right motivation for doing something hard. Maybe we choose to do something hard because we enjoy doing it, even though it's hard. Or maybe we choose to do something hard because it aligns with our values. We can set deadlines with rewards or consequences. I used to be a long distance runner. Now I hike, but I used to I used to run long distance races. And I always preferred courses where the distance was measured in kilometers instead of miles, because there are 42 kilometers in 26.2 miles. So every time one would click off, I would get a dopamine hit. So 5 miles, instead of giving me 5 dopamine hits with kilometers, it would give me 8 dopamine hits. So set deadlines with rewards or consequences. And find an accountability partner. And it's not just to make sure that you're doing something and have them follow up on you to make sure you've done something. It's also so you have someone to brag to and say, I did it. I didn't feel like going out and exercising today, but I did it anyway. So now we're going to practice a meditation. And I invite you to sit comfortably, close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose, and a long exhalation through your mouth. Do that again. Deep inhalation through your nose. Long exhalation through your mouth. And one more. Deep inhalation. And a long exhalation. Now bring to your mind a time when you did something hard. Just hold it in your awareness. Now say to yourself, this challenge was here to teach me something. And breathe into that thought. This challenge was here to teach me something. Imagine the challenge like a fire, bright, hot, and alive. Now imagine yourself stepping into the flame, not to be burned, but to be reforged. And visualize yourself emerging on the other side, stronger, clearer, and wiser. What did you learn? Let your breath become steady and calm. Now, say silently or quietly, doing hard things doesn't diminish me. It reveals who I truly am. Now, consider if you can apply this to another challenge in your life. Now, gently bring your awareness back and open your eyes. There is power in the difficult. There is beauty in the hard earned. And there's dopamine in accomplishing something that was hard. Each time you rise to meet a challenge, you are not just enduring, you are evolving. So the next time life asks something hard of you, smile and say, "This too is my path. Let's go."